Hey, it's Checkmate, here with a really fast update about the speedrunning community. The community has been going crazy. We have over 10 unique any percent runs on the leaderboard with various speedrunners and frogs beating the dungeon quickly. In under a month, the any percent time has beaten sub 10 minutes, sub 9, sub 8, with the world record sitting at just under 6.5 minutes to beat the game. While Chives has been leading the leaderboard, he and Akiaji have been trading off records back and forth. As you can see, Mango still dominates the top ranks, with her tungsten hand cheese still the fastest way to beat the boss. Rather than give commentary on each of these record-breaking runs, I'll give a quick rundown of where the speedrun meta has evolved today, so that you can take these tips, record a run, and claim your spot on the list. First, a quick reminder that for the any percent category, you can run on D0 difficulty, which is the easiest and fastest to beat. Make sure to also set your game speed and settings to fast, as this affects the speed that the animations play and is the worst kept secret to getting your time down. Make sure to also have the on-screen timer enabled too. This helps your own pacing and lets me verify your submission to speedrun.com. Let's start off with the meta for Mango. It's still the meta overall for the fastest any percent runs. The first piece is Tungsten Hand. It lets you pick up dice that are locked on the board like Heavy and Gravity. As you can see, Mango also starts off with a heavy attack dice. Next, you'll need this Terrain. Terrain boosts up the spot that is played on. When combined with the Flash Heavy Mango Cheese, the results are completely broken. You can get Flash at the shop for free or 6 coin, or there's also a rarer event. You want to make sure that you add Flash first to the Heavy Attack dice, then you can add it to the Terrain dice. And you've unlocked the cheese. Rapidly pick up and place down the Heavy Flash Attack die to play it multiple times immediately. That's pretty much all there is to it. In order to be fast, you still need to have good mechanics, need to have good pathing on the map, and then of course just general decent play. Next, let's take a look at Lisver. His meta has evolved very recently thanks to the additions of El Loco, or you might have seen him on the streams and videos as Crazy Person. With the new Quick Draw cheese, Lisver is easily the second fastest character, with Akiaji boasting a record sub 10 run. The Wing Sandals relic makes the build more accessible and also reduces the amount of setup that you have to do to make the deck work. Lisver starts with a D4 attack, which costs 0 energy to play. That's important. You'll want to put Flash on an attack die that costs 0. D6 dice have a higher face value than D4, but it costs energy, so you'd have to take time and also use up a mod spot to add Hollow to a D6 attack to make it cost 0 energy. Pick up a draw die in Area 1. And then that's it. Play the draw die on the haste spot to get the bonus modifier. Then play the 0 cost flash attack. Draw it back from discards into your hand and play it again. The cheese is very powerful, but it requires more setup and interaction than Mango. You still need to manage your deck down, need to upgrade the dice, etc. But the quick draw exploit lets you deal with basically any floor on turn 1 and even most bosses. Finally, we get to poor Cinder, who's great at everything except for world record speedruns. There's 2 strategies for her meta, and you can use Lisver's patented quick draw exploit, but there's just a lot more setup to build her runs. For her starting deck, she has a D8 splash attack, which is very powerful and helps you get through Area 1 in record time. However, it becomes a liability in later floors and lacks easily exploitable features. To make the D8 easier to use, find Hollow from the shop or from the event to make the D8 dice cost 1 energy instead of 2. Adding Flash to the D8 splash attack allows you to play the die immediately. If you use her starter relic, Hidden Ace, then you also get a free draw that you can potentially use to pull it back into your hand and play again. Again, you'll want to pick up a draw die as early as you can, but you have to get Flash again. You have to find another Flash to put on the draw dice so you can play that on turn 1 and start the quick draw exploit. After that, it's less of a surefire thing, but you can win and quickly. Cinder requires a ton more setup than Lisver to get the exact same build working, and you're limited how many times you can play it unless you get a Flash attack that costs 0 energy. However, if you're trying to do a Cinder speedrun, this is a solid strategy to go quickly. Alternatively, Cinder's other meta involves Mirror and Prism exploits to amplify her natural splash attack. However, this also requires a large amount of setup and has a lower damage cap than Mango Cheese or Quick Draw. There's a similar focus on that splash starting attack die. You can get a non-faulty mirror die as an Area 1 boss reward, and the reason why that's key is because you're going to want to modify it to roll only 2s. You'll also need to pick up a prism die and a boost dice and make sure they all roll 2s as well. But they have to be D4 or hollow, otherwise you're going to run out of energy to place all your dice on the board. The best setup requires 2 prism dice, but that requires a lot of RNG. There's a lot of setup and dice placement, but you put the the prism die in the middle spot, you put the mirror die off to the side, the boost dice on the other side, and then those all coincide to copy the same splash attack multiple times and boost it multiple times. This is still viable in a very Cinder-like way to do a speed run, but it's just not yet competitive with what Mango's doing with her exploits and how easy it is to get Lisver rolling with the quick draw exploit. There's a few other general pieces to mention that are relevant for any of the speedrun meta, no matter which character you're using. The Mark of the Chosen One relic is still very powerful. It gives you an easy multiplier to get bigger damage without any downside. However, in Area 2 and 3, and even in Area 1, the ant, the bees, the sneak enemy, they all place dice on your board, which negates the Mark of the Chosen One bonus. However, if you see it, definitely pick it up. A lot of the fastest times utilize this by using the Cinder Cheese as the only dice on the board, or using the Quick Draw as the only dice on the board, which gives just a little more attack or a little more boost than you otherwise would get. The Insect Repellent relic is a new one from the latest update. You unlock it by beating D5 difficulty. However, it's extremely powerful and worth getting if you want to optimize your speedrun. The Insect Repellent makes every question mark tile turn into an event, which is a lot faster than a battle, which a lot of the question marks usually are by default. You can pick this up in the shop or in the forge, and it's very powerful, so I'd recommend using this as well to skip out on a lot of time spent in the battles. Providential Vial is an epic relic that you can often get after a boss fight. It's one of the most powerful, especially for Mango, and even on Lisver, a lot of the exploit involves beating the enemies on turn 1. You want to make sure to have this relic if you can, because then you get the highest roll possible on turn 1, which means you're more likely, again, to beat the enemy on turn 1. The relics Blinding Light Bulb, Trembling Chair, and also the Grow property are really strong for both the Mango Cheese and the Quick Draw exploit. Blinding Light Bulb, every time you play a flash dice, it does 2 damage to all enemies, which you're playing a lot of flash dice in both of these exploits. Trembling Chair adds a +1 value to the spot where the flash dice is played, which, as you play the flash dice on that same spot over and over again, functions like Grow. And again, if you use the Quick Draw exploit with Lisver, you can put a Grow mod on that D4 flash attack to really get the power amped up. That's really helpful in the final boss. Finally, there's also keyboard hotkeys that you can take advantage of. Numbers 1 through 9 at the top of the keyboard correspond to the dice in your hand. You can press, for example, the number 4 to immediately pull the 4th dice from left to right in your hand into the actual cursor hand to play it a little bit quicker. Akiaji is definitely a good example of using those hotkeys. The space bar is a quick way to end the turn. So rather than moving your mouse all the way up to the finish button, you can just press space and save yourself a couple milliseconds every time you end your turn. But it adds up. The F button is the hotkey to draw in dice. So when you're using the quick draw, you can quickly tap F rather than moving your cursor all the way to the bottom left of the screen to draw on a dice and then move it all the way up back to the board. The other speedrun categories deserve some shoutouts too. The Score Percent has a couple of awesome world records, of course using Mango Cheese. Shout out to Akiaji here, who's been pushing this time forward. And of course Death Percent, Spacebar Simulator. If you want to get involved in the action, the best way to do it is on D6 difficulty because the enemies attack with more damage. The meta for this is you beat the first fly as fast as possible, skip to the second battle. You can also get the Idolizing Eye curse, which will make the enemies just do a little more damage on top of what they're already doing. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful and enjoyable. There is still a ton of room on the leaderboard, so I challenge you to record a run as fast as you can and submit it to the board. I'll see you there. Oh hey, since you're still watching, why don't you like the video? Make sure to subscribe to get notified when I post more tutorials and speedruns and just some good gameplay. And here's a final speedrun secret for free. When you play a flash dice on Lisver's haste spot, it actually plays twice, so you can get double the attack. Kind of a little exploit, may get patched out, but there you go.